Welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian fishing podcast hosted by Rhodey and Diz. The boys will share their tall tales of the one that got away, as well as some regular segments they know all you fishing tragics will enjoy.
G'day and welcome to episode 13 of All the Gear But No Idea. Diz, how are you, mate?
Not too bad, mate. How are you? How was the week?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Ticking along okay. In for another big episode today.
Absolutely. It's going to be fantastic. Joined by Anita from the Nature Conservancy.
Yeah, what are we talking to her about?
Really looking forward to getting her insights on, well, I think it's the largest artificial reef in the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, you got that on any sort of credible source? Because you didn't say that with a lot of confidence.
We can confirm that later, but it's a massive reef. We're talking about the Windarra Reef project. There's another one on the way, but we're going to get the insights into that project, and we certainly can't wait for that, Rhodey.
No, that'll be good to hear, mate. Very much a point of interest. The reefs, particularly with the chat of a rec license. If there was a bit more money in the system, that could be something they put that towards.
Absolutely. We look forward to hearing from Anita a bit later on the show. Let's hook into oranges and lemons. Rhodey, what have you got? What was the orange for the week, mate?
I reckon the orange just happened just this afternoon. Got a little picture, hit my text message inbox.
Okay.
The caps are here.
You beauty.
We've waited for them. They've come from China. They've fought off COVID, and they are here.
Do they need to spend a couple of weeks in quarantine, or what's the go there?
No, I think we count the time on the airplane as quarantine for them.
Fair enough. Yeah, we look forward to getting those out. They're looking schmick, aren't they?
They're looking good. That is certainly my orange. What about you, mate?
Well, another bit of merch while we're on the topic. Great fan of the show, avid listener, Flacky from Troll So Hard Lures. The hoodies have arrived.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for you to go pick mine up, mate. I don't know what's happened.
We're going to tee up the time to catch up with Flacky and grab the hoodies. We look forward to repping them.
We'll take him down a hat, won't we?
Yeah, we will. We absolutely will.
And what about your lemon?
Well, mate, my lemon has to be that it's been at least a couple of weeks, if not a month, since I've been down and seen Dan and the boys from How's Your Tackle to just sniff around and see if I can't buy myself a new something from a tackle shop.
Your bank balance would be happy though, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
That's the only good thing about no trips to the tackle store, I reckon.
Absolutely. We've seen they've been busy. Lots of bait coming in and flat out in the store. But
some of those little salmon trout looked good.
They did look good.
That'd be real good down the Coorong, somewhere like that, where you need a good hardy bait. They looked good. Yeah,
ready to roll. Fresh is best, and that's what the boys pride themselves on down there, don't they?
They certainly do, mate. Nothing but the finest.
All right, give us your lemon.
Yeah, now look, we went out fishing, what was that, Sunday week ago. Did have a few beers, maybe a couple of rum cans on the Saturday night. Got up on the Sunday. We weren't at our best.
We were absolutely not at our best. We were close to our worst.
That was one of our worst efforts in years. Launched at West Beach. We plodded around for about 15 minutes before we lost interest. Persevered for a little bit longer, but not much.
Oh, it was longer than 15 minutes.
Just longer than 15 minutes, and we didn't get any fish. We toiled away for another little while.
We did. It did get a little bit blowy.
Look, we were looking for excuses. The wind picked up and we said, here we go. I was actually feeling pretty good in the morning until I saw you, and you looked horrible.
Mate, you were feeling horrible. You've just lost your wallet.
Oh, mate, I misplaced it for a brief moment.
You left it in the Uber. Disgraceful effort. And good news on the way down the ramp, wasn't there? The Uber man had it.
My Uber mate, who I actually knew he had it because I had it at Macca's and I didn't have it when I got out of the Uber.
Yeah,
only one place it could be.
That was unbelievable scenes, but yes, we were definitely feeling a little bit sorry for ourselves.
And it rubbed off on the fishing, didn't it?
It did. We didn't really show any perseverance whatsoever.
No.
And I suppose all in all a bit of a waste of time.
Yeah, it was a poor effort. Only positive was the ticket machine at the boat ramp wasn't working, so we got out for free.
Yeah, we did. We did.
So we should maybe give Ned McHenry a shout and say if he's not happy with these boat ramp fees, jump down to West Beach.
Yeah, good call. He's not a fan of the boat fees, old Ned, is he?
No, certainly not.
Rhodey, tell the listeners, you've already given them a little teaser, but the caps, they've arrived, haven't they?
Yes, so Will Swale down at One Rundle Trading Co. has been in contact. They're in their shop, ready for me to go collect in the next day or two. So that's a great result, isn't it?
Oh, it's fantastic. You were lucky enough to secure the sample, mate, and roaming around in all the gear, hat.
So we'll have them as soon as we get them back in our hot little hands. We'll put them up on the socials, and you can jump in and buy one.
Pre-order now, isn't it? Basically?
Get in contact with us. Yeah,
get in contact. There's not many of them. They'll go quicker.
They will go like hotcakes if the stubby holders are anything to go by.
Absolutely,
so what are we charging, Diz?
Oh, mate, we've got a bit of a bonus stubby deal, haven't we?
Yeah, so $25 for your cap.
Yeah. Buy two, get a stubby free.
That's you're making money there.
You are. You're absolutely making money.
And you know the other thing, like there's a big push on looking after yourself, melanoma, skin cancer.
Yeah.
You need a hat on your head.
Oh, it's basically if you got yourself a bit of a tea towel, tucked it in the back of the cap, you'd have yourself a Legionnaires.
Yeah, don't bring up the Legionnaires hat, mate, because Pez and Rishi wanted the Legionnaires hat straight off, so they might be next year's product.
Well, we've got to diversify eventually.
We do.
It's not just going to be caps and stubbies forever. We're going big.
No. And talking about the sun protection these caps are going to offer, it's good for a head like yours. There's a lot of forehead on your big head.
That's old five-head road himself. That is pot kettle black.
All right.
I thought you were about to say that you needed to give your beer a bit of sun protection by whacking a stubby on it because we've had another lot of them arrive.
We have. Ange looked after us there, and we've flicked off a couple of them, but I reckon they're only going to pick up once the cap deal comes on.
Oh, and mate, once this warmer weather starts cracking in too, she'll be going crazy.
All right, mate. What do we got for the news? Where do we start?
Well, you've been putting your head in the books again, mate, and we absolutely love it here at All the Gear when you get around it and dive deep into the news. But this week, I'd say absolutely, well, not just this week, but recent news is that Basham replaces Whetstone as the fishing minister, doesn't he?
Yeah, so that one broke just after we recorded our last episode with Lee.
We just missed it, didn't we?
We did. It would have been good to get the scoop, but we just finished recording. So, anyway, Whetstone really in a little bit of trouble. Some of those Liberal ministers, he's had to move to the backbench. David Basham is his replacement. He represents Finnis, so the Victor Harbour and Goole area. He was elected in 2018. Prior to that, he was a dairy farmer for 30 years.
Yes. And he's going to sit down with the Marfac, isn't he?
Yeah,
Graham?
So I did. I had a chat with Graham today just to get a bit of an update on a few of these things. And Graham is meeting up with David Basham this week to have a chat. So that will be good to hear how that all goes. We will aim to get him on the podcast as soon as possible.
We'll get him on.
I can't see why not. We'll let him settle in. We'll let him have a couple of weeks to get into the role, and then we'll get him on.
Yeah, he'd be flat stick at the minute, wouldn't he?
He would. So he's already made a comment on the cuttlefish numbers, which we'll touch on a bit later on in the episode. I also did a bit of a Google search to see what involvement he's had with the fishos down there at Victor Harbour. I did find he was against the push. Remember they pushed for that exclusion zone, stopping the boats for protecting the whales or whatever?
Yes.
He was against that, so he looked after us there, didn't he?
Yes, yeah. No, we really do look forward to getting him on the show, and that'll be good to catch up on him. He's going to be a busy man with everything going on, Roddy.
Certainly will. He certainly will.
He's going to have a lot on his plate, especially when we talk about the rec fishing licence. So the proposal and the survey, you've had a quick chat with Graham, chair of the Marfac.
Yeah.
And he's had a few responses, hasn't he?
So they had 4,200 respondents.
Wow.
And they're just working through that. Graham said the announcement of the survey would probably be about a month, and says they've got a huge body of work to do.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Seriously, big job. Big job for the state. Big news for the state. Huge for rec fishos.
So the question there is, what impact does David Basham have on that?
Well, yeah, I don't know, mate. Crystal ball sort of stuff, isn't it?
You'd like to know, wouldn't you?
You would. You'd love to know. We might get a few insights from him when we get him on the show.
Yeah.
Pick his brain a bit.
Yeah, we'll get him on. All right, what else? We've also got another bit of an issue.
It's been a whoopsie from Perza, hasn't there?
There certainly has. So 300 people who responded to the Marfac Razorfish survey had their details published online, including names and email addresses.
I was lucky enough that mine didn't get spread.
No, I did fill out that survey though.
Yeah, me too.
Yep, no, but mine
I didn't
was
get
safe.
an email.
No.
Yeah, mine was safe.
So anyone who was impacted would have got an email notifying them and apologising for their mistake. So here is a quote from a PERSA spokesperson. Upon becoming aware of this, the information was promptly removed. We apologise to those affected and have taken steps to ensure this doesn't happen again.
Big news, isn't it?
It's not great. Not a good look.
It's not a good look. You've got to keep that sort of stuff confidential. And look, they better hope it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I think there's a few people that aren't real happy about it. Sort of losing a little bit of faith in the system from what I read on the socials.
If there wasn't enough of those people losing faith in the system as it is, which is fair. All right, we've got some news from the Marfac. Again, we've had a resignation.
Yes.
Brian Whedon.
So Brian was the tackle representative.
Yes.
And this is off his Facebook page on the 24th of July, the Complete Angler at Wallaroo Facebook page. Just letting you know that as of the 24th of July, I resigned from the Marfac as the tackle trade representatives. If you have any questions regarding Marfac matters, please contact any of the other Marfac members. Regards, Brian Whedon. So short and sharp, didn't give much information as to what's gone down.
Yeah, we've had a bit of an inside scoop though. Graham let us know he's left because of a problem in the tackle industry, not an issue with the Marfac as such. Is that right?
That's certainly what we were told by Graham. I don't know any more than that.
Yeah, no, that's good. So that leaves that brings him down to 4 on the Marfac, doesn't it?
It does. That includes Graham. So there was originally 8 plus Graham. So they're 5 members down. I think that means they don't have enough to do a vote, potentially. Graham said that's unlikely. They'll be doing any more votes until they get new members.
Okay.
Which is an issue for them.
You reckon they'll, next March was when they were due. They're going to bring that forward, do you reckon?
I think that's certainly what Graham Keegan was discussing, whether they could be replaced earlier so things can move forward. Yeah,
fantastic. All right, well, that was really good insight there from Graham. Did he have anything else on that, Brody?
No, I think he's just they're figuring out how much of a big job it is. This Marfac, they think it's taken a lot of time and effort, and it's taken a toll on some of the representatives. Yeah. And certainly with 4,200 respondents to the survey to go through, they're only getting more work for themselves at the moment, aren't they?
They'll cut out for themselves. Absolutely. All right, let's get an update on the cuttlefish numbers down at Point Lowly, Brody. There was a survey. What's happening?
Now, I don't know exactly how they come up with this number, but they've surveyed the cuttlefish at Point Lowly during this year's annual mating season, and they've said the estimated population is 247,146. That's a very specific number for an estimation. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, it is. I would have 250,000 would have approx 250,000 would have just suited me fine.
Yeah, so that was conducted in June by Sardi to coincide with the peak of the season. I was there diving with them on one of those weekends, and it was certainly a good sight, and we saw plenty. So I do believe them that they're in record numbers.
Yes, absolutely. And David Basham, new minister, he had a bit to say, didn't he?
Yeah, this is really the first quote I've read to do with the fishing industry from him. So we have population data now, which should give everyone confidence that this species has rebounded back to health levels. And that is in response to the government's previous decision to open fishing for cuttlefish in Upper Spencer Gulf. So he's basically saying that we've now got the numbers that the population is healthy, and that's why they've opened it up. The opposite opinion of that is what Eddie Hughes, who's the Shadow Primary Industries Minister, had. He refuted this in the local Whaler paper. Quote from Eddie Hughes: "It's like saying whale numbers have gone up. Let's now start hunting whales again. This is the only place in the world where this type of breeding aggregation occurs, so it's not a normal fisheries issue."
Do we think our man from the Whaler Dive Shop is on the same page there.
Tony? I think Tony's firmly in the Eddie Hughes camp.
Without putting words in Tony's mouth, I think he would strongly agree with that statement.
Yes, I think he would. So very differing opinions, and it will be interesting. I suppose you can't judge the numbers on this year, can you?
No.
They've only just opened the fishing. It'll take a couple of years before that has really any effect.
Yep.
But it will be interesting to keep an eye on.
It certainly will. All right, Rody, in other news, the cod season has closed. Closed August 1 through to December 31st. So it's illegal to target cod. The fisheries will be out there on the rivers, checking up on you if you're doing anything wrong. So do not do it. You cannot troll from a moving vessel at all, can you?
No, you can't. You wouldn't want to get caught. As we've seen in previous editions of the podcast, they certainly crack down on these sort of things. So it's a big fine. Not a good look.
So they should. They've been threatened for a long time, haven't they? 2003 under the Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act. So just don't do it, basically. We don't want to see you on the news out there getting busted for trolling a lure.
No, you won't see me on the news, mate.
Trolling a rat lure around the place.
If I did troll my rat lure, I'd be sure to catch one. That's a good lure.
Okay, and our previous guest, Lee Van Soest. What's happening with her, mate?
So she's become the Promotions and Communications Director at Recfish.
She's a busy lady.
So that's another string to her bow.
Absolutely, yeah.
That episode was a bit of a hit, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, no, it was really good.
So if you haven't heard that one, make sure you flip back and have a listen along with any of our other episodes. You can find them all on the Spotify, the Apple Music.
Yes, yep, you certainly can.
But no, she was a good guest.
There was an AGM which we missed, unfortunately, Rhodey.
Yeah,
last week.
Yeah, I was actually at a 40th. Pete, who's a big fan of the show.
Big fan of the show.
And he managed to give the podcast a bit of a shout out in his speeches.
Happy days.
So we did miss the Game Fishing Club, AGM, but it wasn't all bad. Good night at Pete's, and we got a shout out.
Excellent. Really good.
So,
good.
What else they got going on at the Adelaide Game Fishing Club, Diz?
They got the Kingfish comp, mate.
Yeah, that's something we've always talked about, isn't it?
It is. $25 for entry. Non-members can get involved too, just a little bit extra at $35. You got to register by the 30th of September.
We're both members, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we'll take the
discount. Thanks
we
very
will.
much. Absolutely. And so they're going on fork length, aren't they? Longest fish caught in SA waters, fork length.
They are. So it runs from October 1 to November 1, but they're just starting to promote it now. You need to be registered by September 30. And prizes, high-end fishing reel and other prizes estimated at $1,000 value.
It's worth your while, isn't it?
Yeah, I reckon we should give it a crack. And we do mention that coming up, I think, in the fishing report. What's going on there?
Yes, we do. And the coast-to-coast date's been announced, Feb 6 and 7.
Yeah, put that in your diaries.
We look forward to that.
Not to be missed.
No way. All right, another comp on the go. Let's Go Fishing Salmon comp. That did finish, didn't it, Rhodey?
Yeah, that ran throughout July. The biggest fish was a bloke by the name of Luke Deadman, 2.7 kilo salmon.
Big salmon.
Not bad, is it?
Good going. There was Ezekiel Fallon won the junior comp, and James Fox, he won the random prize. So good on you blokes for winning the prizes, and well done to everybody involved.
Yeah, and sticking to the salmon, there's still a bit of time left in the Elliston Salmon Comp. That ends August 31. So if you are over on the Eyre Peninsula, give that a crack, guys.
Absolutely. Well, that just about wraps up the fishing news for today, Rhodey. We got anything else going on today? We do have one from
the fishing guru,
yes, Dan the fishing guru.
He
last but not the least.
No, certainly
as
not.
They would say.
He's involved with the backpacks for SA Kids raffle. Diz, you donated a prize. That's good of you.
We did send a hamper in. The pharmacy's just around the corner there, so we'd be mad not to get involved in such a fantastic initiative. Really love Dan's involvement in that. Giving back to the community.
He does some good work, Dan.
He does.
So it's a $5 entry.
It is.
And jump on the Fishing Guru's Facebook page for more information. He's got the link on there.
There was some serious prizes donated.
There was.
There was a hamper.
Yeah. Well, that was...
No, what I was actually getting to was how poor the hamper was when people were donating kayaks and some other crazy
I
stuff.
think, was it BMW?
I didn't see that.
There was...
I have to hit up Dan and just double check what's in the raffle here, but there were some serious prizes.
Yeah, so make sure you do get involved. I think it's drawn, I'm just looking at it now, 31st of August 2020 is the draw, so make sure you get involved. 1,000 tickets available. Yeah, that's right. So it's a BMW and Barossa weekend getaway is the main prize.
How good.
Take a BMW out for a spin. That's worth $1,500.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that sounds fantastic.
And plenty of other prizes, so do get involved. I also, when we were looking at that just before, there's some good gear on the fishing gear at the moment, isn't there?
Oh, mate, the squid teaser hooks look great.
They look good. They look much more efficient than those old ones we used to use.
They do. They look really good. He's got some great stuff to go.
And you did talk a big game, Diz, about picking me up some of those quick clips.
Yeah, well, I love the look of those quick clips. Mate, I told you it was my lemon.
Well, you should get down there and pick me up some.
I haven't been down there.
Get down to Let's Go Fishing and pick me up some quick clips.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be good for squidding, you know, when I'm catching all the squid and you want to change to the same colour as me.
Tell us how you went down at Runa with Richard.
Yeah, we got a feed.
You caught donuts.
None of that, mate. All right, what do we got next, Diz?
We are done.
That's it for the fishing news.
The fishing news has wrapped up for the week. Your head must have been buried in the books this week, big man.
That was a bit of a marathon, wasn't it?
That was a marathon. We got through it. There's some good stuff in there, though.
Certainly is.
And we're just warming up to the main event, aren't we?
Yeah.
We got some fantastic, great insights here, Anita. We are going to really enjoy having a chat with her on the show next. Okay, and welcome to the show, Anita Nedosyko. Fantastic to have you on. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
We really look forward to speaking with you today about your involvement, Anita, in the Windarra Reef project and other things across the state. A really prominent person in the recreational fishing community. Your role specifically with the Nature Conservancy. We look forward to hearing all about that, Rhodey. It's going to be great, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly looking forward to hearing about some of the great work you're doing, helping to improve the state of the oceans and, as a result, the fishing in the state.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, let's get started, Anita. Can you tell us about your best fish?
Yeah, well, so probably my best fish experience was I had a job working up in Kakadu National Park, and a lot of people don't really think about the marine environment when they think of Kakadu National Park, which is kind of in the middle of NT. Yeah. But I had a friend, Sam, who was an Indigenous woman, and she and I went fishing along the East Alligator River. And we just took hand lines, and we were fishing for barramundi. So there, over in the NT, the rules are that only the Indigenous people can use bait. So we were very successful, but we're standing on the edge of this bank of the East Alligator River. We're just putting the hand reels out, and I'd never caught a barramundi before, and the minimum catch size is like 90 centimetres, so a massive fish. Yeah. And pulling that up off a muddy bank with crocs literally just going back and forth, waiting to catch your barramundi was, quite an experience, but such an amazing fish to catch as well. And yeah, it was a good effort. We ended up catching about 10. So.
Oh, wow. That would have been amazing. You do see some videos occasionally on Facebook of the crocs chasing a few off the bank, don't you?
Totally. It's really wild, amazing. Rugged fishing up in the NT.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. And Anita, what's your favourite thing about fishing?
I think my favourite thing about fishing, and most of my fishing experiences have mainly been with friends and family. So I'm not really a solo fisher person. So really, like the best things really is just about spending time with my family. Like some of my most favourite times is just going down to the edge of the jetty after work and just getting an hour in just to get some sort of fresh air, but also try and get something for dinner. And then also just really love seeing the interesting marine creatures, because I grew up with my dad, who's a really keen recreational fisher, and we had a shack over in the Yorke Peninsula. So, a lot of my childhood and a lot of my early learnings about marine biology was just catching a fish and seeing what it was. And, some of those things are, whiting and squid and all of the things that you can eat, but there's so many other things that you catch that are just creatures that you've never seen before, and it's always fun to ponder what they are. And we always had a species ID book back at the shack, and we take a lot of pleasure in just looking them up and saying, what is that thing?
Yeah, so was that your first fishing memory, fishing with your dad over on Yorke Peninsula, Anita?
Yeah, I think that definitely for me it was, Dad and my Uncle Phil, so we had a shack together over in the Yorke Peninsula, and there was 4 kids in our family, 3 kids in their family, and Dad and Uncle Phil equipped us with all the knowledge. So we used to just go out there as kids and get bloodworms, just dig them up in the sand or under the seaweed, and then just head out onto the rocks and just go fishing on our own all day. So and Dad had a tractor and an old gunner, and so we'd go out on the boat as well when we were kids. But part of holiday time.
Yeah, absolutely. Those school holidays and things, they were the sort of things you lived for, wasn't it, back when we were young, and just waiting to get away and get out and chase that next fish. It's awesome.
Well, Dad's, I remember once when we were probably about 8 or 9, my sister and I snuck out at Christmas, and we were like, oh my God, we really want to get Walkmans, and we kind of looked and felt the shape of the Christmas presents that we had, and we're like, we definitely got a Walkman. And then we opened it up, and it was like a new a fishing reel, and Dad would always sneak in a new a squid jag or something like that for us as kids. So clearly buying for himself, but
oh, that's great. My dad did the exact same thing. Anita, tell us, what's your favourite sort of fishing and why?
I get pretty bored fishing. To me, it's not really about catching something. It's more about just seeing the interesting fish and things like that, and I've got no problem throwing them back. So in saying that, though, the most favourite sort of fishing is when you hit a school. Yeah. That's probably my most favourite. And living up in the NT, I had an opportunity to go up to Field Island, which is just off the coast of, you go up the East Alligator, and I had an opportunity to go with one of the Indigenous rangers around his sea country, and that was just the most incredible thing. It was literally you put your line in and you'd catch something straight away. Yeah. It was just so abundant. So very lucky to have those experiences, but typically it's standing on the edge of a jetty in Metro Adelaide and catching nothing.
Yeah. It certainly sounds like you've had some pretty exciting and fortunate fishing experiences over the years. I'm sure somewhere along the line you've had a funny fishing story.
I did remember once catching my dog with a squid jag, which was not a good moment. But probably I think that the one that got away was I just live down off Port Wollonga, and there's some really incredible fishing just off here, because it's around in and around the Aldinga Reserve. Yeah. And so on the fringes of that, I've had some incredible, just catching squid, and sometimes get schools of salmon come through and bream and stuff. But I was just going out in my kayak, and I was just wearing my bathers, so I'm not really that geared up for fishing, but I did have a little fishing line at the back that just had a popper, and I just was, going along. It was a really beautiful, calm day, and I wasn't expecting to catch anything. I didn't even have a bucket. And then I felt something in the back, and I was like, what the hell is this? And so I started pulling it up, and I was like, this is something really huge, and I thought it was probably just trash or some seaweed or something. But I pull it up and it's a bloody snapper.
Oh.
And it's the only snapper I'd ever caught. It was huge. And I bringing up a snapper, with the dorsal fin and all the spikes. It's there's no way you could bring that on and keep that on your boat. I didn't even have a knife or anything. So I had to try and get that thing off as quickly as possible. So anyway, that was probably my one story of the fish that got away reluctantly.
Yeah, it's amazing. Sometimes you're just dragging a lure through the ocean. You never know what you might pull up.
No. Hopefully that luck will come again. But I was fishing off of Port Augusta, right up the estuary.
Yep.
A couple of weeks ago, and we were hearing that there's tuna up there, and we're we might catch something, and it was we're totally unprepared, but still had when you just, I don't know, you just still have that hope going out. Catch something. We did a bit of research after, and we're even if we'd probably caught something, we probably would have broke our line anyway.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for answering those questions. That's a really good insight to your fishing journey, and we are looking forward to getting stuck into the Windarra Reef project. That must have been a massive job, Anita. Can you tell us about the process of construction and setting it all up? That must have been huge.
Yeah, it was a really big project, and we've just completed Australia's largest restored native shellfish reef. So that's just off the coast of Ardrossan at the Yorke Peninsula. And we're also about to build another reef off Glenelg. And I work for an environmental non-for-profit called the Nature Conservancy, and we're all about conservation for people and nature. And we see the two go hand in hand. So this project has, right from the beginning, been about providing habitat for recreational fishing. So we're working with the South Australian Government. We also work with other project partners to restore this. It's the most endangered marine ecosystem. It's shellfish reefs, and around the world, it's estimated that about 85% of these reefs have been lost, and they're incredibly productive. They're just like fish factories, essentially. In Australia, they were basically wiped out to almost extinction. There's only one reef that remains that we know of the flat oyster, which is down off the coast of Tassie.
Okay.
So in South Australia, probably about a third of the coastline would have been reefs that are kind of like coral reefs, but made of flat oysters. Okay. So that's the basis.
Yeah.
And to this, they were overfished, like I said, in the 1800s, to the point where now the only way that we can get them to recover is to restore them. So what we do is we put in limestone rock and juvenile native oysters, just place them in and amongst these rock, we create these reefs on the sea floor. And then essentially what happens over time is these juvenile oysters, they take about 2 or 3 years to grow to maturity, and as they grow they start building on top of each other, and they start creating these 3D matrices, which provide just excellent hidey holes and food for other fish. So these oysters are constantly spawning and producing oysters, and those oysters, when we go down there and look at the reef, it's just, we see just fish down there just nibbling away at the rocks, eating these oysters. They're when they're babies, the oysters are just quite thin-shelled, and so they're just like chips for fish. So you start bringing, a lot of the bottom of the food chain back into the marine environment. You start to get your little worms, your shrimps, your crabs, and those things then in turn start attracting some of the higher order fish, and then that's where we start to see on some of our restored reefs over the last 2 or 3 years, we're starting to see big schools of pinky snapper and things hanging around.
Awesome.
Windarra Reef is Australia's largest project to date. So we're really proud of that here in South Australia. It was a big commitment by the South Australian government to really invest in this. And then on the back of that and the success of that project, we've now got another 1.2 million from the South Australian government to do it again off the coast of Glenelg. So over at Windarra Reef, it's a 20-hectare reef. So that's what it looks like, is about 160 different little reef patches. They're about 1 kilometre offshore. It's in about 8 metres water depth. Okay. And they're sort of just placed in and around. And they were completed in November last year. Wow. So they're still really young. But we're doing it again over in Glenelg.
Yeah, it's certainly very interesting. Did you say it was overfishing that caused a lot of this loss of the natural habitat, Anita?
Yes, so essentially, like when the early colonialists came over and settled South Australia and other parts of Australia, they came over with sophisticated understanding of like how to fish for oysters.
Yeah.
And so they had these fishing trawlers. They used dredges and rakes, chains, and they, really, I see the oyster as really keeping that those first settlers really alive. It would have been a great protein source as they were starting to get a lay of the land and start to understand about, agriculture in Australia.
Yeah.
And so it was like the very first piece of legislation that was ever passed, even before the South Australian government was formed, and this was only about, less than 20 years after the first arrivals, that there was protection in place to look after these reefs, which is, I think, pretty incredible. But,
that's quite amazing that it was that long ago, and it was. I wouldn't have realised it was such a big food source for the first people to come to South Australia.
It's an incredible story, actually. They would have made up a really prominent. They would have been a prominent feature off our coast. It definitely would have been an important food source for Indigenous Australians.
Well, fantastic, and we really thank you for restoring that. It's a great thing for the state. Anita, there must have been some massive logistical challenges, and I wonder whether designing the specific shape of the reef was one of them. Was that a big challenge, or was that something that I just think was bigger than it needed to be?
Just going back and to say thanks, I really appreciate that gratitude, but I also want to say thanks to the fishing community and also the local community as well, because these projects don't go off the ground without the local government and community support. And all these projects, probably the biggest hurdle I think is around public engagement, because marine restoration isn't as well established as terrestrial restoration, like planting trees and bushland and things like that. But essentially it's the same thing, we're just doing it in the marine space.
Yes.
And so that's been probably one of the most important parts of the first few years of doing these projects, is just getting people on board and supportive, and we get a whole bunch of mixed thoughts and opinions and concerns, and we're really happy to have those as and when they come up. But generally, I know that it's just it's got a lot of support from most people in the community, because it's just a win-win for the environment, but it's also a win for fishers as well. So that's a hurdle. And in terms of the design, we're constantly learning something new when we build these projects. So we've got reefs over in the United States, where our colleagues have been restoring reefs for the last 20 years, and they're using different oyster species. This design actually was based on a reef over in the Gulf of Mexico that had a similar type of design as this one, which is kind of, it's really like narrow kind of strips. They're sort of 10 metres wide by sort of up to about 40 metres in length. There's various lengths and sizes, but the 10 metres width it's quite narrow. So we based it on that. The biggest challenge, I think, was actually building that to spec because we had it engineered. So that, we could just, say that reef wasn't going to have any detrimental impacts on coastal processes. Like we wanted to make sure that sand movement wasn't going to be inhibited by these reefs being put into place. So we made sure we built them like parallel to the shoreline and sort of along the same contours as the seafloor. And also making sure that we did a lot of surveys to begin with that looked at that area and made sure that it was just bare sandy substrate and that we weren't actually going to be putting these reefs in an area where there was already some really important habitats like seagrass or other rocky reefs.
Yeah, and I imagine, Anita, there would have been some real logistical challenges to getting all this limestone down there. What do? You take it out on barges and drop it off the edge, or how does that all work?
So one of the biggest, it is. It's just putting, it took us about 10,000 tonnes of limestone to build that reef, and that limestone is sourced just locally, the biggest sort of logistical issue is actually we have a limited amount of barges in South Australia. Yeah. So, just looking at those types of things. And one of the biggest challenges was finding an area where we could actually load the limestone from. And there was actually there was nowhere on the Yorke Peninsula that could actually load that limestone.
Okay, so where'd you take it from?
The Yorke Peninsula is made of limestone. Yeah. We had to end up loading it all the way from Port Adelaide. And then during construction, there was a big oyster disease called Pacific Oyster Mortality Syndrome that was threatening a lot of the aquaculture industry across Australia, and it hadn't been recorded in South Australia, so incredibly important biosecurity threat. It's important to just mention that the reefs are actually built from a native oyster. It's called Austrian Gazi. It's a flat oyster, and if you're really lucky, sometimes you can get them at the markets or at the oyster farms, and they're beautiful, beautiful oyster. I love them. But the oyster that is farmed is a Pacific oyster, and it's actually an introduced species. And it's that oyster that was being affected by this virus, and there was a small outbreak or a record of it just in the Port Adelaide, and that was where all the vessels and things were coming out of. And so, we saw it as being even though it wasn't necessarily going to be affecting the reef, we needed to make sure that, any movement of the vessels coming in and out of the Port Adelaide wasn't going to be impacting the oyster farmers. But, there's boats going in and out of various places all the time. So it's a really, marine pest is just such a challenge.
Yes, absolutely. That would have been a big challenge for sure. And I'd be very interested, Anita, what sort of species are you seeing on the reef? How's the health of the reef? Is that something that you're tracking on a regular basis, or what's the process in seeing how healthy it is?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So we, as part of our commitment, we monitor the reefs and track its progress over time. So we've done 3 years of monitoring up until it was July last year.
Yeah.
And so from that, we've actually we're incredibly pleased that the reefs are tracking along as we expect it to. And when you're talking about restoration, we compare it to some kind of reference system. So as I was mentioning before, we only know of one native oyster reef of this type that exists, and that's over in Tassie. So one of the things that we're looking at in terms of how the reef is going is looking at how are the oysters growing and surviving. And so what we're seeing on the reef is thousands of oysters per metre square. And so that's really cool because when you look at a established reef like the one in Tassie, our aim is to have a density of about 50 oysters per metre square. Yep. So if we can continue to keep those oysters growing and surviving, then we're in good stead to achieve that target. One of the most incredible things that we've discovered, but also researchers at the University of Adelaide, is that we put the rock out and we were expecting to have to seed that reef with oysters from the hatchery, which we did. But just when we put the reef, the rock in the water, we noticed that when we went out there to look at it a few months later after the spawning season, there was just millions of natural recruitment of oysters on those rocks, which is such a good sign that there is oysters still out in the system, and that in some instances we might actually discover that all we need to do is put the rock out and the oysters will, it's just the hard substrate that's limiting their recovery. Wow. So that was really, really exciting. And then for the fishes, it's amazing to see abalone down there, and we're starting to see like scallops down there. But probably the main fish that I've seen consistently down there, just in the initial stages, so we're talking about a reef that's definitely still in its infancy. Yeah. But we almost instantly saw a lot of leather jackets schooling on the reef. Yeah. And some of the smaller fish like your southern goatfish, your red mullet. But some of the researchers have seen whiting out there. We've seen cuttlefish every time we've been out there, and squid. So lots of really interesting kind of like cryptic reef species as well, so like pygmy leather jackets and things like that. So I think we're going to see a really interesting diversity of fish species out there. But, if we, as this reef grows and develops, I think we'll start to see some of the juvenile snapper and things hanging out on that reef as well throughout time. But I haven't been out there for a few months, so I'm looking forward to jumping out in the water in the next few weeks. And,
it'll be interesting what happens over the next few years. We did fish the reef over, I think it was January. We had a bit of a crack on it, and we caught a few leather jackets. I think we didn't get any whiting, but certainly a bit down there. And it'll be interesting over the years, as you say, what happens going forwards.
Yeah, and I think you guys will probably, like the fishers, will end up being ones telling us really what's on that reef over time. And we've actually been interviewing people at the boat ramp, and we'll probably continue to, just to keep getting some intel to see what we're getting out there. But yeah, really importantly, just in terms of the management of that reef, it is a no take of anything off the reef, so no benthic organisms, but definitely, it's a reef there that is for recreational fishers, and it always will be. It's up for discussion to be protected under the Marine Parks Network, and the reason for that is actually for recreational fishers, because what we heard from the recreational fishing community is that they didn't want commercial fishers to fish that reef. And
we're all for that.
Yeah. Part of putting a management status over that reef was for that very purpose, is we needed to find, and we still are, we're just solidifying that, but trying to find what the best management mechanism is to allow recreational fishers and not allow commercial fishermen on that particular reef.
Yeah, and I suppose you talked about the ongoing management of the reef. Is there any need? This is a question from actually one of our keen listeners, Sean Anthony. He was asking about whether there's any need to restock the oysters, or does it sound like they're just going to sort of reproduce themselves going forward, or?
Look, it's a really good question, and because this is the first reef in South Australia, we're going to be learning a lot from it, and that's why the commitment to continuing monitoring that reef is incredibly important. I think the biggest threat to the survival of those oysters on that reef is going to be predation from fish, essentially, and the blue swimmer crabs. There's so many blue swimmer crabs every time we've dived that reef, and as soon as we put the oysters down, I've been diving, they're just munching them straight away. So, and that's not a bad thing. That's telling us we've got a good, healthy marine life down there. So if anything's going to be threatening that, I think that'd probably be my best pick. But because of that, reseeding the reef may actually be an option if we do actually find that the reef in the next few years isn't tracking along that progress, because a lot of the recruitment that we're seeing is actually underneath the rocks.
Yeah.
So, and that's natural. That's the way that they normally would settle. But what that means is we need to see them grow over time, and whether they will survive to adulthood, that'll be the real test. And that will be in the next 2 or 3 years. But the reef will take about, 7 years to really reach maturity. So, it's a bit of a watch and wait kind of thing, but really in the long term, it's an incredible investment for South Australians.
Yeah, and it does sound like, you're still learning on the go, and hopefully you've learned a lot out of this Windarra Reef project. Moving forward, what have you learned, and what are you going to change for this Glenelg Reef? How has the Windarra Reef sort of impacted on that? And can you tell us about the Glenelg Reef?
Yes, so the Nature Conservancy is delivering this project again with Department of Environment and Water, and so it's part of their commitment to securing the future of our coastline. So this is going to be a project which we hope to build by the end of the year, and it's going to be about a tenth of the size. It's a 2 hectare site.
Yeah.
And we're just in the process at the moment of really finalising that reef design. But some of the lessons learned and the things we'll do again is there's a higher wave energy and sand movement dynamic along the Metro Coast. So, putting anything under the water, we, really wanted to make sure that those reefs, weren't going to affect the Metro coastline, which is already suffering from a lot of sand loss, but also that those reefs can get smothered. So
Yes.
we're going to be building them a little bit higher this time. So they might be about they're going to be about 600 mil off of the seafloor, so still quite low profile. Build them again parallel to the shoreline, but we're going to be building a few, probably maybe up to 10 different reefs, and doing it at kind of different patch sizes as well. So some a little bit thicker, a little bit longer, and then clustering them into like groups that we want to be able to have, accessible to divers as well, seeing as though it's going to be so close to like the West Beach boat ramp and other dive clubs and things like that. So we're kind of like, a lot of the things that have worked well, we're going to continue on with. But, it's still finalising a lot of the details of that reef, but we're hoping to get some rock in the water by the end of the year.
Yeah, that's really exciting and fantastic to hear. Anita, we have a question for you about the rec fishing licence. That's obviously extremely topical in the rec fishing scene and more broadly across the state. Do you have an opinion on that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't looked into it too much. Personally, as a recreational fisher, I wouldn't be opposed to paying a small fee for recreational fishing. One of the things that we can benefit from having that kind of funding is to be able to put money into investment of things that can benefit recreational fishers, and we certainly find that some of the projects over on the West Coast have been established because of funding through a fishing licence. So it may open up more opportunities if that money can be spent in a way which is useful and helpful to recreational fishers.
Yeah, no, that'd be great if we do get the recreational licence up and it does free up some money to be used for projects like this. It sounds like you've got lots of, you've learnt a lot out of this first reef, the Windarra Reef, and you've got lots of great ideas going forward. So hopefully we do get some more funding and the recreational fishers jump on board and get behind these sort of projects. It'd be great for the state.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, it's really important for us that the community's on board with restoring reefs, also seagrass, mangroves, salt marsh. There's a whole bunch of important, marine ecosystems that support the entire the food chain and also important nursery grounds. So, always happy to get the community, getting in touch with their councils and the local MP and just, supporting these projects. Because some of them are, with government at the moment being considered for funding. So, it's just great to be able to get that investment up, and so we can actually start implementing more of these across the state.
Yeah, and we'll certainly keep in contact and keep an eye on what you're doing and all these reefs, and share it on the podcast and make sure everyone knows about what's going on. But thanks for joining us today, Anita, and that's been really informative. We've certainly learned a lot. I know this is something our listeners are very interested in, and we're sure they're going to love hearing about it. So thanks for coming on, Anita.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Anita. You've been very generous with your time. Appreciate it.
Cheers, guys.
All right, that was great to hear from Anita Diz, wasn't it? Very informative.
Oh, she knew her stuff, mate. I'm glad she's in charge. She's going to build some fantastic reefs for the state.
And it's nice and close to your parents' place over at Black Point, so hopefully in years to come we'll reap the benefits.
How good. The Rogues Point people will be loving too.
They will.
They'll be loving it. All right, Roddy, let's get into the fishing report, mate. I'm not going to lie, it's pretty short, sharp and shiny this week.
We're just sticking to the good gear this week, guys.
We are. Your friend, Rocco. He had a good long weekend at Port Vic, did well on the KGW.
Yeah, so Rocco gets over to Port Vic a bit. He was there the other weekend, got the bag of whiting on one day, 6 or 8 the next, and he did share a nice little picture that I think we put on the Instagram story. Started his Friday night with a beer out of the best stubby holders in town.
You'd be mad not to, really.
And then he moved on to about a dozen whiting fillets on the barbie.
Oh, how good.
So he had a great little trip just gone.
Absolutely. And we've seen some photos. Shane Mansforth done very well on the crabs off the jetty down at Edithburgh.
This is controversial because I don't know about you, Diz, but I've never spelt August with an R in it.
No, last time I checked, August did not have an R.
So that was always the old wives' tale. You only get crabs with months with R's in them.
If anyone's going to prove it wrong, though, it's Shane himself, isn't it?
And he's proven us wrong.
He has. He's done it very well done. We also noticed that he cleans the guts out of the crab before cooking. That is not our technique.
Nah, Davo wouldn't be very happy with that. But anyway, I reckon Shane Mansforth's got some runs on the board. He is a guru. He's a previous guest on the show.
Big fan of the show too, I'm sure.
Yeah, so he'll be listening. So Shane, you've done well. You've disproven the R theory, and we will have to clean them and see what Davo reckons.
Yes, we will. All right, and while we're on the subject of August, this used to be the time where the Kingies absolutely fired up, didn't they, Roddy?
Yeah. So they reckon
things have changed, mate.
They reckon they're coming on very shortly.
Very shortly, a bit later, I think. Anything that I've read is September, October, where they really start firing as well. So it won't be long.
Is that to do with the power plant?
I suspect so.
Yeah, could be.
I suspect so.
But we did mention the Adelaide Game Fishing Club comp.
Yes, we did. They'll be getting down there and smashing them pretty hard, I reckon.
Yeah, so I did see Stu Ferenci, episode 1 guest. He posted a bit of gear on the socials, vacuum sealing up some fresh squid from Let's Go Fishing. So he's having a crack. I know Hamish White, good friend of the show, he often gets over there and gets amongst them. So we're keeping our eye on these sort of anglers and see how they go this year.
Might see if we can't jump on his boat, eh?
Yeah, mate, we can take our own boat. Have a bit of confidence.
Absolutely.
You just got to get a weekend off work and we'll get amongst them.
Yeah, it's been tough. And the squid are firing, mate. If you got to get out there, get amongst the squid. If you can, get a few liveys.
Yeah.
But if not, catch them yourself. Fresh is best. But if you can't afford that luxury, then you know where to go. Get down to Let's Go. How's your tackle?
Yeah, get into them, guys. Now, Diz,
absolutely fantastic.
That's about it for the fishing report this week.
That wraps up the fishing report. Really, basically, just follow the socials for the week, and you'll be just seeing some fantastic merch floating around, won't you?
Yep. So the hats, we'll pick them up. We'll put them on the socials. You'll get to see what they're like. I'm sure you'll love them, and you'll put an order in.
Absolutely, you will. All right, Roddy, that's very good, mate, and it's your turn on the joke. This is what we have not been looking forward to. This
is actually a good one. Believe it or not, after all these weeks, I've found a good one. All right, it's boating themed.
Okay, come on.
All right. Dead ahead through the pitch black night, a captain sees a light on a collision course with his ship. Reaching for the radio, he says, "Change your course 10 degrees east." "Change yours 10 degrees west," comes the reply. The captain responds, "I'm a Navy captain. Change your course, sir." "I'm a seaman, second class," the next reply comes. "Change your course, sir." The captain's furious. I'm a battleship. I'm not changing course. The man replies, I'm a lighthouse. Your call. I don't care what you say, that was good. That was a quality gag.
Well done, mate. Don't mind it. As might be up there in the top 3.
I reckon the move away from strictly fishing's done us a bit of good.
All right, that sounds good.
I've got a pirate one for next week.
Fair call. All right, thank you very much for listening, guys. Anita from the Nature Conservancy doing some great work. Excellent to hear from her in a big news week, Rody. Lots of fishing news.
Yeah, Marfak, Purser, Basham. We've had all the big topics.
We have. We look forward to the next episode. Thanks very much for listening, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Rody and Diz hope you enjoyed today's episode of All the Gear But No Idea. Keep up to date by liking and sharing us on Facebook and Instagram. And you can subscribe on all the major podcast platforms. Until next time, good luck fishing.